That was wonderful. Your book, The Truth, the Whole Truth, and Nothing But the Truth, so help me, a spotlight on childhood abuse, and it's the story of your life and the story of your advocacy and the story of what happens when we as the ordinary citizens of this world decide to stand up for what is right and push back against what is wrong. And you
Yes.
realize very, very quickly, I know this, you know this, anybody who works in the human rights space knows that there are powerful forces at
Mm,
play, seen
mm,
and unseen, that are interested in keeping this information, this topic, from entering the mainstream society. There's been
yes.
a tremendous push to stigmatize any type of conversation around anything smacking of
Yeah.
any type of child abuse or really just human rights violations in general. And I don't have all of the reasons, I don't have it hammered out exactly why that is the case, but I know that it's true. And
Mm,
to
mm,
your credit, in your book, and I just want to read this brief excerpt because I just think it's perfect. You were discussing the fact that you were being sort of shut down with a friend of yours, and you wrote that he was aware of what had happened to me, and his good question was, who was behind your downfall?
mm.
All I could say is that a few unpleasant people obviously were. They wanted me silenced. They succeeded. And
Yeah.
they did succeed for a time. For a
Yeah.
time, the only way that you had to get your story out was through your book, which, in my opinion, should be read by anyone who is interested in understanding child abuse and understanding what happens to the people who suffer this sort of trauma as they move through their lives.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful story. But for all of their efforts to silence you, you are here today sitting with me and we are having this conversation. And I would love to know from your own perspective and your own thoughts, how does it feel to be stepping back in and speaking on these topics again after being pretty much silent for so many years?
Well, it's taken about 6 years from when I lost my job until I'm here talking to you. And I compare that to the average time at which an abuse survivor discloses the abuse that they suffered in childhood. And there's a number of different uh, opinions on that, but the general consensus is that it's more than 20 years on average from when a child ceases to be abused to when they may, I stress may, disclose that abuse. And that's pretty much a lifetime. So the 6 years has seemed like a long time for me before I've kind of, if you like, trying to come out again, as it were, and speak out. And I'm still quite wary that there will be people out there in this country, not in America, hopefully. I've got a lot of good friends in America, but there will be people here in the UK who will not want me back out, as it were, speaking out because they are the ones who silenced me. And I have a few names of people who I will never mention, but that they are people I know who would not want me to have a voice. And I cast my mind back to Rebecca to the early years of setting the charity up. I would approach sometimes quite senior politicians, members of parliament, your equivalent of Congress members or senators, whatever. And the vast majority were very supportive and said, "Oh, this is good, Pete. This is great. We need to support you. We need to set this. You need to set this organization up." But there were always some who, as soon as I had contact with them, especially if it was a one-to-one in, say, Parliament, as soon as I said what it was I was doing, you could see them physically change and actually back away from you. And all I could ever think was, they're an abuser, or they are a survivor that hasn't dealt with their abuse, or there's something else sinister going on. Because I can't see any reason why somebody would not engage with a person or an organization that was fully committed to supporting and protecting our children, who I would argue are our greatest asset. And, they are the adults of the future. And they have a right, an absolute right, human right, to have a safe passage through childhood. And yet, to this very day, children in this country, certainly, and around the world, still do not enjoy the safety that absolutely should be a given.